Hey, what's up guys? It's Kill the Buzz over here and we're starting this live Facebook session for the remix that I just released this Monday of Forever. Hello Kenzie Win. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about this track that I did. I'm gonna show you which instruments I use, what kind of samples I used, how I came up with the idea. So let's get it started. So, as you can see, I'm working in Logic Pro. The thing is that I got this request from Revealed Recordings if I wanted to do the remix for Forever, the track by Rico and Mila. And of course I said yes, because I love the original one. So the thing is that what I got starting off this remix was, of course, the vocal. And it sounds a little bit like this. So the second thing that I did was I had to figure out chords, because it was not a real like dancey vibe in the original first. So I started like thinking about which chords I wanted to play. So I started using a piano from, in this case, Serum, and before that I like to use this one. After I was thinking about what kind of chord lines I was progressing, as you can see here, it starts, well, in this case, it starts with an A minor, and then it goes over to the G, a D, an F, and then it goes back to A minor. After that, I started like working on beats. I wanted to do something a little bit different than I usually do. Usually I would go for a big room sound. But in this case, I wanted to do like real house beats, and it sounds a little bit like this. Let me catch the beats. Can you guys still hear me, or is the sound dropping? Just tell me. Well, after like making the beats, I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit like a Middle East kind of sound. So what I did is I tried to figure out what kind of notes I wanted to play. But to make it a little bit Arabic, you're limited to using a couple of keys. For instance, I'm going to show you guys. This is, by the way, one of my most favorite piano plugins. It's called the Piano Tag, which I basically normally use to write all my parts. But if you wanted to have that little bit of Arabic vibe, normally in a normal key you would play. But if you want to have a little bit of an Arabic sound like this one, you have to lower the third. So this is 1, 2, 3. So, and lowered means this one. So that, and also lower the fifth. And this is the fifth one, which goes down, and then you. Instead of. This makes it way more Arabic. So that's what I was trying to do for this remix. I wanted to have a melody line, which is really Arabic and really cool. This is the plugin that I used for the lead sound. It's from Serum. The preset is called, it's the Cursed Snake, and it sounds like this when I just solo it out for you guys. And that is really what you get from using Arabic notes. Well, and after that, I always try to find a way to get the chords mixed with the piano part. But basically, I already wrote the chords, and it goes from A, G, D, F, and together it sounds like this. So can you guys hear me? So, good, thanks. Well, so basically when I wrote the chords and the piano part itself, what I usually do when producing the track, I always try to like add up stuff so that I really get the sound that I want to have. In this case, mostly of the synths that I use are from Serum. For instance, this is one of the instruments that you will hear in the track. This is a real like lead top line sound. Why I always do that, why I always mix these two, because in the spectrum you have like different frequencies. So if I would play you this sound, you can see that this one fills the whole spectrum over here. Then besides that, I have the other sound, which gives a little bit more room in the 500 Hertz, so that's where like the basic stuff comes from. And then I also put a layer underneath it with really low tones, so that you have a good spectrum of all frequencies. So this one really goes into the 200 Hertz. So that from the 200 Hertz to 10K, you have this good sound and good vibe, and that's how I like to layer my melodies. I don't use a lot of layers on the melody, because like 3 max is the thing that I would love to use. If you go more than 3 layers, then you usually get troubles when you want to mix it. So then I always try to pick out bass lines. I always used a sub bass line, in this case just a simple one. Just an easy 808 sub bass to get that bouncy feeling, because if you mix this one with the kicks, where are the kicks? Here are the kicks. Then you automatically get like the groove and the vibe from the track. After like adding up the bass and the kick, it's always useful to find yourself good samples where you wanna do the beats from. In this case, I used a couple of samples that I just found in sample packs, snare fills, snare rolls. Of course, I added a couple of other things. different kicks in it and claps in it just to get a little bit of a groove, and it sounds more like this. And the basic thing why it gets that groove is because the right and the high's always like playing on the same count, but the claps, they go in a different way. As you can hear from here, they basically go in the opposite direction. But if you don't put it like on the half notes all the time, but just sometimes switch it up like I did over here, then you get that extra groove in the beat. For the bass, did I use distortion, EQ, etc.? Well, I always EQ everything. I think this is one of my bass lines. The bass is basically built out of a couple of basses. This is the other one. This is what I do when I EQ my bass. As you can see, the EQ, what I just did is normally the bass fills up. Normally, as you can see, the bass fills up this spectrum as well. What I always like to do is to keep it below, I think 350 or something, so that it only gets the attention in the sub bass region where I wanted to have it. And besides that, I always like to use a little bit of distortion, normal settings. I don't use the drive because in Logic it's easy to just put it on and you'll already hear the difference. Besides that, channeling, yeah, of course the EQing and the R-bass. And this little thing that you can find in the Waves bundle, the thing of the R-bass is that it keeps the volume of every bass note almost equally, so that you don't lose any power of the bass line in the drop, which is really good, which is, in my opinion, a good thing if you want to keep that bass volume regular all the time. So besides like having all these things in it, when you come to like the break, like I call it a break, a little like in between break, you have to do something different every 15 seconds. So the first 15 seconds basically sound just like this. So as you can hear in this part, you always want to mix it up a little bit to give the people the attention, to let them know there's something else coming. And in this part, what I just did was change the notes into, so that little dun, 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 dun. That one, in music-wise, it creates like an ending of the phrase of the sentence that you're telling people. And besides that, I used. Where is it? It's this thing. So this thing is basically a sample which I just cut off and which makes that groove. So basically it's all about, like, when you're making music, it doesn't really matter if you use a sample or you use like your own plugins. As long as you make it a good idea and think about all the changes that people want to hear, so that it doesn't like, so that it isn't just a regular track which you can copy paste all the way. And after that, what I always like to do is, in the second part of your drop, I always like to add things up. There's an ARP going in, there's some snares going in, these kind of sounds. So when it starts, when that second part of the drop comes, it sounds more like this. And what I usually do and how I come up with these like ARP kind of things, while I'm playing the track and while I'm like soloing out, for example, the keys, and let's say the melody line, and let's say this part doesn't exist. But anyways, what I always like to do is just play around with the keys and come up with something that fits the track. And just play around with it until you get that right feeling of the track that you want to have. I don't have a lot of time to get like really in discussion in what kind of keys you should use. There was a question about what I do with my mastering. Well, as you can see, this is my end channel. I don't use a lot of stuff. Usually when I'm mixing, I want to have the track as clean as possible. If I want to play it, I'll just use a Magic Cue from Logic, which basically, if you have a reference track, you just drop your reference track in here. And if you have, and this is your own track, and then you combine these together, and then it matches up the things that you don't have in your track. So for instance, let me show you real quick. Let's say if I go to music, and for example, I really love this track of Kashmir, for example, Dharma, and I just put it over here. It starts analyzing the track Dharma. Then I click on Learn from my own track, and what I just want to do is let me see, play this track. Then just click on Magic Cue, and then I automatically can see what kind of frequencies I'm missing to the track that I'm referring to. So for instance, I'm seeing like I'm using a little bit too much bass, there's a little bit less of 100k, 200k is too low in my track, and the 10k is too low. What I then automatically do is I start like tweaking in my sound self. So for instance, I think, well, I miss a little bit of 200k, maybe I should lower this one and start like boosting up this part. That's how I usually like mix my tracks until I get the sound that I really want to. Of course, you can do that with Isotope Neutron too, but the thing is, like, everybody uses their own like samples or plugins. I'm really fond of the basic Logic plugins, like the Magic Cue. The distortion is good, the channel equalizing is good. So yeah, that's it basically. I don't want to like go into like all the high-tech products if I can do it with like less ones. And for my sidechains, I usually use the LFO tool. It's a cheap sidechain to buy, and it works perfect for me. Well, after the first part, of course, like when the track is going and when the drop is going, then we automatically get into the second break. Well, what I want to do in the second break is I can either choose to like fully break it down until there's like no sound and there's like a sub drop, which is basic common thing in EDM. But this time I wanted to keep the track on going, keep the track on vibing. So what I just did, I just copy pasted the samples that I use for the hi-hats and for the claps, and just let them continue into the next part, so that it keeps on going, so that it's not stopping, so that it's going on in one motion. And then basically I really love this sound, so I didn't change a lot. I just basically copy paste this part over this one. The only thing that I did different is that I added the vocal again in the end, as you can hear here. And why I do that, mostly of the times when I'm working with a vocal, in the second part I like to put that vocal back in again, so that you have a different second verse, which will still be like a big part of the whole song itself. I always like to switch up things vocal wise, because the vocal is a strong part of this track, of course. The production itself, it's really cool, really simple and laid back, but there's not much really that I can tell about, like how I made the chord progressions, why I came up with these ideas, because that goes a little bit too much in theory. The thing that I can tell you guys is that if you guys are using a vocal or working with a vocal, try to play chords first and try to get that feeling that you have in your head on paper and on your computer. What piano plugin I use? Well, I can show you the piano plugin that I use. Let me see. Here it is. So, the piano plugin that I use is this one. It's basically the Logic standard version. You can find it if you just click in here, go to software instruments, and then here on the left side there's this button which you can click on. It's the library, and then you just click on the piano, and then you find one of these. I'm really fond of the Steinway Grand piano, but that's basically the piano plugin that I used for this track. It sounds like this. And of course you can see there's a lot of plugins going on over there, like the channel EQ. Of course, I really don't like the low volume of the low EQ, the low frequencies of the piano, so I always cut them out. Then of course a little bit of distortion. This is one of my favorite plugins as well. I always use the bass guitar preset. Why? It just pumps up the volume and sounds nice. A little bit of compression, which is the one from Logic itself. A tape delay to make it a little bit broader, and of course this plugin, which is the Arts Acoustic, which gives a really nice reverb. Besides that, I also like to use this piano. It's the Modart, it's the Piano Tech. It's this one. Yeah, you want to know what the main lead is? I can show you the main lead if you want to. This is how the main lead looks like. This is the main lead basically. It's a sound, I already showed it, but I'll show you once again. It's a sound from Serum. It's called The Cursed Snakes. I think you can find it on Splice if you want to. And it sounds just like this. Yeah, it is a little bit like, it is Turkish, Moroccan, Eastern. But as I explained, like, it's very simple. If you play in C, if you play in this way, you just lower the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just the 3 and the 5, they go half down, and then it sounds like. And you can do it with any key, and you can play whatever you want. Exactly. So, what guys do you want to know about this track? Another song of mine. Well, today I'm just discussing the Forever remix. I hope I can show you another track in the near future, and I hope that I can do a bit of more of a like a real podcast setup. Today I didn't have the time to set that up for you guys. Oh mate, you guys can stream it. You guys can listen to it on Spotify, but you guys can also download it from Beatport. Um, if you guys want to know where to find all kinds of sounds, this is just Google this. If you go guys Google that, that's a really helpful site which helped me basically. I can show you what I do during the production. You just go to splice.com. Starts loading up. I have to do this in just a minute. Well, this is the website Splice, which is an easy website for all your producers to use. Let me just load it up. If you just go to sounds and you just want to search for a sound, let me say I want to find the hardball sound or whatever. And you just click on enter. It shows you all kinds of like kicks, like this one. Or you can even use presets, and it just, like from your favorite artist or whatever it is, you can find it over here, and you don't have to buy like the whole bundle. You do have to get a subscription and get credits, but then you can like basically download every sound that you think is cool. You can even hear it. So that's basically where I got all these sounds from. Oh, you want to see the kick that I stole? Well, this is the kick that I used. It's from the Cymatics pack. It's one of the kicks inside of the pack. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's this one, the Cymatics House Kick 3. For this track, I didn't want to use like a big EDM kick. I wanted to have a kick which is really powerful, really clubby, and Cymatics has really good samples, so that's the one that I used. You prefer to use sample magic. My favorite distortion unit, that's easy to tell. This is my favorite distortion. I'll just put it off. I hope you guys can hear it. But if this is my lead sound, I always go to the basic distortion. And the thing is, you can automatically hear the difference between this it just pumps it up really nice. It gives a little bit of sharp edge on the sound, which I really like. So basically it's the default distortion of Logic itself. I don't use any other distortion. Yep, Cymatics. Hey Danielle van de Corporate. How I can make sure that I'm exporting at the right dB level? Well, for me, it's an easy thing to do. I always check which is the hardest part of my track, and basically it's always the drop. What I intend to do is the following. I can show you, but I'll explain it first. I always look out for these babies over here. It looks like this. So as you can see, there's a little bit of headroom left over here. Normally, when I'm starting like producing, it's all in the red, 9.2, 8.2, 7.2, whatever. But what I usually do is I press X, and then I select all these channels. And let me do that real quick for you. Just select all these channels, and the thing that I do is then, if there's a track like on 0 dB, I would just click on it and just type in -6, and then all the gains drop down, so then in the end you have a nice headroom. Well, I always, if you want to know if I sidetoned the drop in the melody, of course I did. As you can hear, it ducks a lot. This is a sidetone that I used. It's a little bit weird because I didn't want to lose all the volume in the beginning, so I just pulled this one up a little bit. And what I basically do is when I use the LFO tool, I don't put this one on 100, always somewhere between 80 or 90, because I don't want it to duck it like all the way so that you don't have any sound left. I don't like it if it sounds like that, but it's just like the taste that you have in your music. How many hours I spent on producing this track? I think I spent, the first version doesn't even like sound like this. I don't even know if I still have the first version. Let me check. Where is it? Oh, not this one. So I think I don't have it anymore. Or maybe it's this one. This is the first, so to show you guys, this is the first idea that I came up with. That is the first version, and I think I spent a week on like figuring out or like making the track. But then in the end, we all didn't like the sound of it, and it didn't like fit this day, like this time around. So we wanted to do something different, and then we came up with this track. No, I don't use parallel compressing just because I don't want to take all the effort to like parallel compress if I can like do it this way. I'm not like I know how it works, but for me I either use the normal compression because the parallel compression for my experience takes up a little bit of too much time, and in the end I don't hear the difference. So for me it's basically the same thing. You guys are asking me what kind of like mastering plugins I use. This is it. I don't use a lot of things. I use the Lin MB from Waves, and what I basically do is when I'm done, I just put it on this preset, multi-electro mastering or multi-opto mastering, and that's it. How to approach a melody for remixing? Well, that's a good question. The first thing that you should do is figure out how, in what kind of key the vocal is written. Not every vocal is written in the same key. You can have the keys C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and even all the steps in between. I'm not going to explain everything about it, but the first thing is try to figure out what kind of chords you want to play. So let's say, where's the piano? if these are your chords, I started in G minor. Then really, if you want to do the melody line, try to like first play the melody that the vocalist is singing, and then try to mix up your notes. And that's how I basically always do it. I just first try to figure out which key the vocal is written in, and then I try to find my own keys underneath it, and then I just play around until I get something which I think sounds cool. Yeah, I know the first version did sound cool, but I didn't want it to be another progressive track. I just wanted to make something different instead of it. If I use the Virus TI, I just sold my Virus TI. I didn't use it a lot, so it basically was catching dust, and I didn't like it. If you want to get on Revealed, well, I think you should just make your own music. Do whatever you want. Make your own sound. Try to be original, and just send the demos over to Revealed Recordings, or just send the demo over to me. You can just add me on Instagram, and that's it. Well, Joey, I might be releasing it, but who knows? Well, this is it for now. I hope to see you guys next time. If you have any questions for me regarding producing, or you want to let me, or you want to show me your demo, just add me on Instagram on Kill the Buzz, and then I'll find it, and then I'll respond on it. So, everybody, have a good day. See you guys next time.